Hello everybody. Today we will start with the topic appendicitis. Anatomy of appendix. So, appendix, it is a vestigial structure which lie in the right lower abdomen in relation to cecum and ileum. If we will talk embryologically, the appendix is a continuation of the cecum from its inferior tip, and the appendix is shaped like an inverted pyramid. With the rapid growth of the right side and interior aspect of the cecum, it rotates the appendix to its adult position. Now, if we want to mark its base, then it is marked as the McBurney's point. What is McBurney's point? Where it is located? If we will draw a line joining the interior, superior, iliac spine and the umbilicus, then the point of the junction of the lateral 1/3 and medial 2/3 of this line, that point is McBurney's point. And this point is a classical site to palpate the tenderness in case of appendicitis. That we will talk about later. Now let's see some common position of appendix. First is retrocecal position. It is the commonest position, that is 70%. In this, the appendix lies behind the cecum. That is seen in the diagram. This is retrocecal position. Then the second position is pelvic position. It is the second most common position, that is 25%. In this, the appendix hangs from the cecum and tip lies near the beam of the pelvis. Some other position of appendix are subcecal position, splenic position, paracecal position, and paracolic position. Okay, now move on to congenital abnormalities of appendix. They are very rare, like agenesis. In this, the vermiform appendix is absent. Second is duplication. It is also rare, but few cases have been reported where they are double appendix. Then is diverticula, which is rarely seen in appendix. Then fourth one is left-sided appendix. It is seen in the case of situs inversus viscerum. In this, there is whole transposition of the thoracic and abdominal viscera. So the appendix lies in the left. Okay. Now four classification of appendicitis is acute appendicitis, subacute appendicitis, recurrent appendicitis, and chronic appendicitis. In acute appendicitis, this is the most common acute surgical condition of the abdomen. It is mostly found. And this acute appendicitis is commonly seen in second and third decade of life. As according to the position of appendix, in children, appendicitis is not common, as the configuration of appendix makes obstruction very unlikely. Now moving on to the etiology. First is obstruction of the lumen. When there is hyperplasia of submucosal lymphoid follicle, then obstruction is caused and that causes appendicitis. Some other factors are also there, like intestinal worms that can also cause obstruction, like roundworm, threadworm. Some fruits, seeds, they can also cause obstruction. The other factor which can lead to appendicitis is diet. The diet which is rich in fish, meat, or cellulose rich diet, high residue diet, That can also cause appendicitis. Some other factors which can cause appendicitis are social status and familial susceptibility. Now moving on to pathology, this can be divided into obstructive variety or non-obstructive variety. If obstruction is a major factor, that is the obstructive acute appendicitis. In case of obstruction, there is severity of the inflammatory process. Let's see like this. There is a closed loop obstruction, which what it does is it produces normal secretion of the appendicular mucosa, means it increases the secretion and then produces distension. So this distension in turn stimulates visceral nerve endings, so hence causing the pain. This pain is dull and diffuse in the region of umbilical and lower epigastric region, and this distension also stimulates peristalsis. Now, there is a rapid multiplication of the resident bacteria that also increases distension. And when this bacterial invasion occurs to the deeper coats, then there is absorption of the bacterial toxin, and which in turn causes fever, tachycardia, and leukocytosis. In the non-obstructive acute appendicitis, inflammation commences in the mucous membrane or in the lymphoid follicle. So there is no obstruction in this case. So there is not much distension. But in this case also, the patient complains of pain in the right iliac fossa. Now talking about the other varieties, if the episodes of this acute appendicitis subside before reaching the acute stage, then that is called subacute appendicitis. And in second case, if a full-blown appendicitis does not ensue, the appendix may turn into a grumbler and there will be recurrent attacks of appendicitis. This is known as recurrent appendicitis. In chronic appendicitis, on pathological examination, the appendix may reveal thickening and there will be scarring of the old healed acute inflammation. So that is called chronic appendicitis. Now moving on to the clinical features. For this class, mainly the features, we get them in the name of Murphy's triad. That is pain, vomiting, temperature. So there is pain and vomiting is also present after the pain, and there will be rise in temperature. The temperature is usually restricted to 99 or 100 °F, but this triad is present in case of acute appendicitis. Another symptom is anorexia. This is also nearly always present with case of appendicitis. Nausea is also there. Slightly rise in the pulse rate is also there. The pulse rate may rise up to 100 per minute. On inspection, the patient will look anxious in pain and the tongue is dry. And on palpation, you can see the marked tenderness, which is there at the McBurney's point. So moving on to our next slide. That is the complications of acute appendicitis. In complications, we can see there can be appendicular rupture, Then the second is appendicular mass. In this case, the appendix becomes gangrenous, omentum, and coils of small intestine covers the inflamed appendix all around. So there a mass is formed. Usually such appendicular mass develops on the third day after the commencement of the attack. Then that can further lead into appendicular abscess. Then there is other complications like suppurative pylphlebitis. Now moving on to differential diagnosis of acute appendicitis. That can be classified into four varieties. First is abdominal causes. So abdominal causes, then the diagnosis can be acute cholecystitis, perforatic peptic ulcers, cyclical vomiting, enterocolitis, non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis. Others are intestinal obstruction, Crohn's disease, carcinoma of cecum, amoebic colitis, acute pancreatitis, or mesenteric vascular occlusion. In case of gynecological disorders, that can be salpingitis, ectopic gestation, or ruptured ovarian follicle. There can be twisted right ovarian cyst. Then there are some retroperitoneal causes like right ureteric colic, right-sided acute pyelonephritis, torsion of testis, hematoma. Then other causes are also there. These are the differential diagnosis of acute appendicitis. Now let's come on to treatment. So the surgical treatment is immediate appendectomy, where we remove the appendix. Now let's move on to homeopathic treatment. As you know, homeopathic treatment is based on individuality and symptom similarity of the patient. So there are a variety of remedies which can be used, like arsenic. When they are in the condition of arsenic, there will be chills and there will be restlessness, there will be great thirst. Then other remedy which we can use is belladonna. In case of belladonna, the symptoms like colicky pain in the ileocecal region, and there will be inability to bear slight touch. Paroxysm comes quickly, goes quickly. Pain will be in short attacks, face flushed. Then we can prescribe bryonia. In bryonia, pain would be sharp stitching pain that would be worse from motion, better while lying upon the painful side. Then patient would be thirsty. Other drugs which when we can prescribe are carboveg, chamomilla. In chamomilla, patient is cross, pitful, flushed, thirsty. Then china, ignitia. In ignitia, colic pains are first gripping, then in one or both sides of the abdomen. Then lachesis can be prescribed. In lachesis, there is swelling in the ileocecal region. Painful stiffness would be there. And lycopodium, sulfur. There are so many homeopathic remedies which we can prescribe according to the symptom similarity of the case. So just winding up the topic. Thank you.